Yes. The next company to present is Iconovo, a Swedish company that offers effective inhalation platforms for a global market. And the speaker will be CEO Johan Wäborg. Welcome, and please begin your presentation.
Thank you. To make a pharma product that is consisting of a powder in an inhalation device is very difficult. You need to have a special competence within several technical areas to be successful to do this. You need to be able to produce a powder that should be perfectly suitable for the inhaler. And this powder needs actually to be under 5 micrometers of each particle to reach deep into the lung and not get stuck on the way down. And on top of that, you need to be able to design and develop an inhalation device that does not infringe on any of the other patents that are out there on the market. And when companies, even bigger companies, look at this task, they hesitate. There are a lot of uncertainties and you need special competence to do this. So it means that it will translate into a lot of time lost, a lot of investments that has to be made, and higher risk. But if you would unlock this opportunity, it would be great. You could produce pharmaceuticals that have less side effects. If the effect is desired in the lung, it's also where the drug should end up. You could reduce the hazardous material that is produced and contagious waste. Often that is something that comes with, for example, vaccinations. It could also open up world markets that today is dominated by big pharma companies. And often as well, the products that are out on the market are quite old, so it would open up the possibility to get some innovative inhalation devices out there. Seen from another angle, and it's another opportunity to reach some of the countries where there is a great medical need today for new drugs. There are many markets in developing countries where it's hot, where logistic needs is difficult. So you have a huge need to get something that is easy to transport, that doesn't require cold storage, and maybe has less need for medical staff. All of these could be unlocked by producing a dry powder inhaled version of respective drugs. So when companies see this picture, it takes a lot of competence, it will take a long time, lots of investments and high risk. They hesitate. And we are here to really lower this threshold, to make the time shorter and to lower the risk and cost for these companies. We can make that happen for companies. What we do at Iconovo is that we develop complete inhalation products. We know how to design and develop inhalation devices. We have our own patented inhalers. We have a department that is expert in doing the powder formulations for these inhalers. And we have a group of chemists that does the analysis and makes it end up in the perfect constitution that we want. My name is Johan Wäborg and I'm the CEO at Iconovo. We are a company based in Lund. We're 29 people currently, but we are a global company. We act on global markets and we have customers around the globe. And we are very motivated to change the way that inhaled therapy is being distributed and used across the globe. We develop and out-license complete inhalation products based on our 4 proprietary platforms. We have IcoRes, which is a reservoir inhaler. We have IcoCap, which is a capsule inhaler. We have ICO1, which is a single-dose small inhaler. And we have IcoPre, which is a pre-metered inhaler, very much alike the one that GSK has that is named Ellipta. And I will go through these inhalers and try to give some examples of the current agreements that we have for each and every one of them. We create great value for you as an investor by addressing these enormous global markets. We have a business model that is scalable. We have a portfolio of projects today, and today then we can offer as well controlled risk in our company. But we wouldn't be anywhere if it wasn't for us having a great customer offering. There are actually not that many companies that can do what we accomplish every day at Iconovo. There are few competitors because this is very hard to do. The business offer that we have is that we develop a pharmaceutical formulation that is optimized to one of our inhaler platforms. And we make an exclusive license agreement with a customer for a combination of one of our inhalers, a drug of the customer's choice, of course, and in a territory where the customer wants to launch. The revenue model is quite simple. When we enter into the agreement and the customer gets access to our knowledge, know-how, technology, IP, they pay a technology access fee. Then we develop the project through some milestones. And in the end, when the product is launched in the markets, we receive our fair share in terms of royalty or profit split. We are a listed company. We are on Nasdaq First North in Stockholm. We have been there since 2018, and we are well capitalized. At the end of Q2, we had 46 million, but nevertheless, we made a directed issue in July and took in 75 million. And this is to really fuel our new long-term strategy. I will tell you a lot more about our strategy. We're also very proud of our shareholders. We have a lot of our founders as owners. We have international investors, Eiffel Investment Group as an example. And then we have some mid-sized to large Swedish funds like Handelsbanken, Fjärde AP-fonden, Andra AP-fonden, and Länsförsäkringar. And then in the directed issue, we also are very pleased to welcome Alcur, Humle, and FF Fonder to our owners. And this is our long-term strategy that will propel us and accelerate the value for us in the future. First, to the left there, we have the first pillar, which is the classic Iconovo area, where we have the generic special inhalation products, classically for asthma or COPD. But we also have coming products there, which expires or loses their patent. It could be, for example, in pulmonary hypertension or in fibrosis. Then the second is a very important opportunity for us. Innovative inhalation products or projects. Here, we have identified primarily 3 areas where we can really make a difference. Replacing injections, for example, vaccinations. The lung as a target organ, where you really want the effect to be in the lung, and where you want to have a rapid onset of action. The lung is a great organ to deliver effect fast, just as fast as IV. And on the right side, you have the Nordic pharma sales. A very natural step for us up the value chain. We want to take our own products to the Nordic market and sell them, simply to get a bigger share of the value chain, but also for many other reasons, such as having the feet on the ground and really being able to see what the product does. I will tell you more about that soon. But first, let's go into the generic area. The classic area of Iconovo is the asthma and COPD area. There are 590 million people around the globe living with asthma or COPD. And this is, of course, a huge market, $30 billion. And out of these 30, around 14 is within these products you see on the picture. It's powder, dry powder, inhaler products. And this is exactly our target group. What is also worth noting is that many of the products you see here have already lost their patents, or they will very soon lose their patent, creating an opportunity. But even though the patents are gone, the value is still maintained. And that is because it's so difficult to produce dry powder inhaled products. So our flagship inhaler to go into this space is IcoRes. It's a multi-dose inhaler with smart feedback functions. So the feedback functions is quite logic. I mean, we have an exact dose counter in this. We have on the back side of this, we have a field where you can see that you actually inhaled the dose correctly. And there is some room left in the inhaler as well. So you can add digital components, for example, if you want to have mobile connectivity. We are also very proud for this inhaler, but it goes for all of our inhalation devices, about the design. It's a robust Nordic piece of industrial design. So the agreement that serves as an example of our IcoRes agreements is the agreement we have with Amneal. It's a generic Symbicort in IcoRes, a 20-year license agreement with a 5 to 10% royalty. And just before summer, we managed to extend this agreement to include, besides Europe, also US and China and some other territories across the globe. So actually today, the Amneal territory represent 88% of the global market of Symbicort. The global market is $3 billion. And if you make a calculation example of this, it would mean a global potential in terms of royalty for Iconovo at $13 to $26 million per year. Another extremely important strategic project for us is IcoPre. This is an inhalation device that takes aim on the global market, but specifically the American market and the Ellipta asthma and COPD portfolio. With this inhaler, we will create an inhalation device that will be equivalent to Ellipta, so that you can substitute those two products easily. And we have the target this year to create 5 formulations and a ready device to go onto the market or sign a customer agreement during next year. It's a huge market. Today, the market is $3.5 billion, and it's forecasted to grow to $4.9 billion in 2025. And the first opportunity that you see here is top the Relvar Breo Ellipta opportunity at today $1.4 billion. So now moving into the second pillar, the innovative space. Really, really interesting. It's a huge opportunity. It's almost difficult to grasp what is happening here. We believe that the market potential for inhaled innovation is almost $100 billion. And it's divided into these 3 areas as we see it. Targeting the lung, where you have the asthma and COPD, you have pulmonary hypertension, fibrosis, and others. You have fast onset of action with Parkinson's, migraine, epilepsy, and all things related to myocardial infarction, for example. Then you have to the right replacing injections. Vaccines are a big thing here, of course. And we are actually today active within all of these 3 fields and have agreements running. And our tool to really get into the innovative area is ICO1. It's a genial, very simple, small single-dose inhaler for discrete and effective use. And the thing about this inhaler, and the smart thing, is that it's one piece of plastic that you fold together easily. So it's also very small. It looks like this. And of course, the way it's constructed means that it's very cheap to produce. So even with a low price pharma, you can get decent margins on this. And that's excellent for example, vaccinations. And our vision for ICO1 is that this can replace injections. A bold statement, but for sure, that's the plan and that's the vision for us. It would solve many of the problems that you have today with needles and syringes, hazardous waste, contagious waste, and the whole logistics chain would be much, much easier if you have a dry powder that is not sensitive to heat. Today we have 3 projects within the innovative space: Monash University with inhaled oxytocin, ISR with inhaled COVID-19 vaccine, and Respiratorius with an inhaled COPD severe asthma product. And I will tell you a little bit more about ISR and let that represent the way we do and make agreements within the innovative space. So this agreement is with ISR, a Swedish company. It's for an inhaled version of COVID-19 vaccine. And we do this in ICO1 and in a supplementary agreement also another version of the ICO1 that is called ICO1 Nasal. It's a license agreement, 14 years. Royalties here are a low single-digit percentage. And you may ask, why is there any more market left? I mean, we're doing pretty good, at least in the Western Europe and this part of the world. Isn't everyone vaccinated? Well, even here not. But the World Bank says and states that there are 3.9 billion people around the globe in lower middle income or low income countries, which will have what they define as late access to COVID-19 vaccines. And that's not this year or next year, it's even later than that. And it's exactly in those countries with bad logistic, bad roads, you cannot transport these medicines and they can't really have freezers everywhere to store these medicines. It's there, this could make a real difference. The royalty potential for this in a price example of $8 to $10 per vaccination would be around 100 million SEK per year for us. We enter into the third pillar and not the least pillar. This is my home turf, the commercial area. This is about selling what we are really good at in our own home market. For me, it makes sense. And to go from where we are today as experts in this field and take this step up the value chain feels very natural for us. We have as an organization today the needed experience. We have great experience in the board, we have great experience in the company. And to do this, we don't need to make any large investments in equipment or facilities. We need to invest in systems and in capabilities and some resources. So we will do this as a separate business setup, not to defocus any of the other core strategic business areas. We will focus on the Nordics, our home market, and we will base the business in our own products. Our inhalation products will be the first core assets. And we will build a small organization. Throughout the coming 2 years, we will hire 4 to 5 persons to take care of this. And just to give you a snapshot of one of the first products, which will be Symbicort, that is a big market in the Nordics. It's a 900 million SEK market. The whole inhalation market is 4.3 billion SEK. Sweden is the biggest market, around 50%. It's well known for us. It's good systems. We can maneuver this. But from someone looking at Nordics from the outside, it's 5 countries, 26, 27 million inhabitants, 5 completely different systems. So they often need a Nordic player to address this market. We have our target sets, 200 million in revenue 2026. And we will have a high operating profitability, 50%, which leads to 100 million SEK revenue in 2026. And on top of these targets, we have identified a few upsides. And I want to point out, if Symbicort is launched in the US, it will lead to a great opportunity and a good upside at 70 million 2026. And if the accelerated program with ISR is successful and we have a COVID-19 vaccine on the market, that will lead to an upside of 100 million in 2026. So finally, the picture of all our projects is becoming more and more complex. Here we have a mix of the generic projects, which you see in the IcoRes, the 2 ones on top. Then you have the 3 ones in IcoCap. And just towards the end there, you have the 3 innovative projects in ICO1. And on the bottom, you have the strategically very important project in IcoPre. So these projects will take us towards these goals that we have set for 2026. Finally, we are creating value for customers and you investors through our very attractive customer offer, which is within a high-tech field with pretty low competition because it's so difficult to do what we do. We're a platform company with 4 proprietary and patent-protected inhalers. There is a lower risk in Iconovo today. If you, for example, compare us to a 1 or 2 molecule company in talks or phase 1. And today we have a portfolio of projects and we have 6 license agreements. And we have the new value enhancing and de-risking strategy. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation, Johan. I was wondering if you could perhaps discuss a little bit on the risk reward of your long-term strategy, especially when you're moving into the second and especially the third pillar of that strategy.
Yeah, sure. I mean, the good thing and about this 3-pillar strategy is that there are all different, almost like different business models. For the 2 first pillars, the business models are quite the same, but the time frame and the risk reward profile is quite different. You have for the generic area, an area where the risk to fail ultimately is quite low. I mean, the main risk for those projects within the generic field is time, delay, and the upside, the opportunities within that area are controlled and quite huge. And controlled because you often know exactly what the market looks like. You know if there are competitors. You can more or less define or assume a certain market share in the markets. So it's a controllable area. The second area is maybe the area which is the biggest in numbers, and the opportunity is huge. And we really want to be a part of that and drive the development even. It's higher risk if you're involved in novel pharma. We know that around 10 to 14% only of the projects that novel pharma initiates will be successful and reach the market. So within that area, you need to control that risk with building a portfolio and carefully also selecting the type of projects that you take in, so that you have a good mix between everything from real novel agents to innovative projects where you have reformulations of some already known molecule, for example. And we already have in our portfolio examples there where respiratorious are a totally new molecule. It's going from the start. And you have for Monash University, you have an oxytocin, a hormone molecule, where you actually are making a reformulation of something that is quite known and quite known how to handle. And then third, the Nordic pharma area is of course another completely different type of business model, where you have defined markets. It's more, within our markets in the Nordics, the systems for pharma and generics and substitutability and tenders and everything like that is quite. It's hard to penetrate when you look at it from the outside, but for us, it's a well-known thing that we can maneuver. So once you maneuver that, you can more or less also have good assumptions for where you're going to end up with your strategy and your sales.
Excellent. Thank you very much for the presentation.